Is DTF or HTV the right solution for your t-shirt business? Let's find out. If you want to start a t-shirt business from home, or if you've already started one but you want to look for a different solution, well, let me compare using iron-on vinyl and DTF for you, including the process of setting up a design, making and applying both. I'll do a wash test of both, and I'll also compare the pros and cons of using either one, and stick around as I'll also do a bit of a cost comparison as well. In this, I'm going to be cutting the HTV on my Cricut, but you could use any cutting machine, and I will be making the DTF print on my new Procolored K13 Lite DTF printer, which I have just been gifted. It's an ideal start machine for making DTF prints, as it has been engineered with beginners in mind. It has an easy maintenance print head and automatic cleaning technology, so you have less to learn about maintaining it. So this video is sponsored by Procolored, but I'm going to be totally honest about my experience of using both materials so that you can make up your mind and decide which one is best for you. So let's get going. I'm going to start with the process of making an iron-on vinyl design on a Cricut. First off, I'm just looking for a design, and you are a bit more limited because you can't use full colour designs like this for HTV. You need to either look for single colour or layered SVGs like these. So I'm going to download this bundle and upload to Design Space, although you could of course also create your own design within Design Space or use one from Cricut Access. This part can sometimes take a bit of time if you need to ungroup layers and unite all of the different colours together, although this one wasn't too bad as there are only 2 colours and not many sections. You then also have to choose the correct cut setting and make sure it is mirrored before sending it to your machine to cut. In comparison with the Procolored DTF printer, you have a much broader choice of designs to choose from, as you can choose full coloured ones. Just make sure they are a transparent PNG before downloading. Then you do need to plug your machine into a Windows computer via USB and plug in a dongle too before you open up the Procolored K13 Lite software and upload your design. The software is fairly basic, so you can only upload designs to it, then just move them to where you want them to go on your printed sheet. You could also make multiple designs at the same time though. Now to make the iron-on vinyl design, place your material down on your mat and click go, and then repeat for each layer. Then all layers will need weeding. This can take a bit of time and you can end up wasting vinyl when there are gaps like this in your design. Keep going with every layer and make sure you don't miss any little bits from in between the letters, but otherwise they are ready to apply. For the DTF print, you need to turn on the machine and wait for it to warm up. Then click Send to Printer within the Procolored software and it will print from there. It was already all set up with the roll fed through the back, and I have just been leaving it like that. I did also accidentally leave the sheet fed too far through the machine, so there is a bit of a wasted gap, but that is my fault. You can use the arrow buttons to remedy that. Then you can use the trimmer to cut the design off. It has printed out kind of blue rather than green, so I'm wondering if that is something I need to adjust on the software as I'm still learning it. Next you need to add some DTF powder to the back. I did this in a plastic tub and just made sure each bit of the back was covered, then shook off the excess, and I can just put that back in the bag. Then you need to use the smokeless oven to bake the design. I just had to wait for it to heat up, put the design with the back facing up, clicked go, and that took 200 seconds. And you just have to make sure that the back has like an orange peel texture to make sure it is done. So both have a 2-step process basically, and can take more or less time depending on the HTV design and also how long things take to print and heat up. For both materials, I'm going to be using these 100% cotton t-shirts. I lined up the first HTV layer, covered with a Teflon sheet and pressed. And this is warm peel, so I could peel off the cover sheet pretty much straight away, although that one B in the corner wasn't fully adhered. But rather than cover and repress, I find it better to just try to carefully remove the cover sheet when it's just a tiny bit like that. Then it will get pressed when I do the next layer, which I then lined up, made sure it was straight and pressed again. Then I removed the cover sheet again, and there it is done. And there is a really nice sheen on that metallic HTV, which you can't really get with printed designs. To apply the DTF print, I made sure to preheat the t-shirt first, laid it down, then again covered with the Teflon sheet. If you are going to be making a lot of t-shirts, then for either material, it probably would be better to get a swing press that does a lot of the pressing down for you, and also one that's a bit bigger and covers the whole design too. Then the machine came with this block that you can rub over the design to speed up the cooling process, as you do need it to be cold before peeling off the cover sheet. I did have a little bit of trouble with this snowflake, and some of the smaller elements were not peeling as easily, so that is something I perhaps have to factor in when making future designs. But otherwise it stuck really well. Now let's put them to the test and wash them. I've just stuck them both in the washing machine inside out on a 30-degree wash, and then I hung them to dry. I wouldn't ever put either of them in the tumble dryer. Now that they're dry, you can see that the bronze HTV has unfortunately started to peel a bit and is no longer fully stuck down. The red has fared pretty well in comparison, however, other than this little edge here. To be fair, I have had HTV shirts that have lasted a long time with many washes, but it does just sometimes depend on the material you use and also how much it has been pressed. As I mentioned, a swing heat press is much better if you are making shirts to sell. But this test does make this material seem less reliable, I've got to admit. The DTF, on the other hand, looks exactly the same as before I washed it. Even the smaller details are still in place. The only thing that has peeled up is this tiny edge on the side. But again, this could be down to improper heat pressing, and I could have missed that before I washed it. But here they are side by side. Let's go over the pros and cons of both materials. The pros of HTV are that you can choose different textures like glitter and puff vinyl, and it is very accessible to beginners, especially if you already own a cutting machine. The cons, however, are that it is not always as long lasting. You can only make single colour or layered designs, and you have to weed and apply layer by layer, which can be a bit time consuming. The pros of DTF are that you can create full colour designs so you can be more competitive with other sellers. There is no weeding required, which is better for bulk production, and the prints are long lasting and durable when looked after properly and pressed properly as well. The cons are the cost of the machine is a lot more upfront, and it does require some maintenance, although that is very much minimised with this K13 Lite model. Although to fix my colour issue, I did have to unblock the colour cartridge using one of the provided syringes, but the customer service team gave me guidance and it was really easy. And then my print came out exactly how it was supposed to and looked a lot more vibrant. In terms of costs, it is a bit difficult to do an exact side-by-side comparison, just because with HTV so much depends on what machine you buy, what kind of HTV you're using, and also the designs you're going to be making as well. If you're doing multi-layered HTV, you're going to need more colours. If you're using glitter, that's going to be more expensive, for example. But if we just do a very simple side-by-side here in the UK, the Cricut machine that I used is £270. Then if I was to bulk buy HTV, I can get that for £5.95 per metre at a 500mm width, and that goes down the more you bulk buy. But that is just simple colours, and let's say I want to buy 10 of those colours, that goes up to £60 plus shipping, which is £7. Now the Procolored Lite machine is much more of an initial investment, although I do have a code for an extra £25 off in my description, but that includes all of the ink, powder and film you need to get started. And in comparison, this roll is 330mm wide but 100 meters long, so 100 times longer than the roll of HTV I mentioned before. And it says that the ink used is about 3.75mm per A4 print, so you should be able to get about 400 prints out of those ink bottles, although probably a bit less than that after maintenance actually. And then of course you do also have to factor in a heat press, blank t-shirts, and then everything else that comes with running a business, but they would be the same no matter what material you used. So although it is a much bigger upfront cost, over time the DTF prints will work out as cheaper. But also another thing to consider is how much more you could potentially make with full colour designs. When you look at what is for sale on Etsy, for example, it is mostly full colour t-shirts that you would need to compete with. Saying that, you also need to ask who your t-shirts will be for. Your customers might not even need multicolored t-shirts. Say if you're making single colour logos for local companies or something like that. You also just need to weigh up what you can afford and what will work best for your business. If you're just starting out, it may even be worth buying some DTF prints from someone else just to see how well they do and what your customers want before investing in a full machine. So what do you think? Are you team HTV or DTF? Drop a comment below to let me know. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more comparisons, tutorials, and craft business tips. Until next time, happy crafting.